Hello, we've got some fairly nice weather today, so I'm going to give this plane a maiden flight. This is kind of a part 2, continuing from my other video where I was waiting for the weather, so you can watch the previous video. I'll put a link in the description if you want to see about the build of this. The only thing I've changed since then is I just put a bit of tape on here because I didn't really trust the magnets at the front to hold it on. When I pushed this down, it sort of sprang back a little bit. It was a little concerning, so that tape should take care of that. I'm going to be flying with a 3S 2200 mAh battery. I don't think anything lighter would get the CG in the right place, to be honest, at least not without an FPV cam in there. I'm going to start with a 50-45 bullnose prop, and I also have a 60-45 non-bullnose prop, which I'll try afterwards. And I gave it a little test, just a throttle test, holding it like that to see if it could lift its own weight, just to, check if the power was going to be okay, because it's quite a heavy feeling plane. I mean, it's heavy for its size, I guess. Maybe just because it's sort of compact in the middle here, maybe. I don't know, but it just kind of feels a bit heavy. So that's why I was doing that test. But with this prop, it could lift itself up at about just under 3/4 throttle, which it matches what I saw in my thrust test numbers, so that makes sense. To start off with, I have the trim set so that the bottom edge of the elevon is about the same level as the top edge of the side of the winglet there. So it's a little bit of up to start with, and that seems to be, at least for the Texumo, that was a pretty good starting point. So maybe this wing is going to be the same. We will see. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention in my build video is that I did not glue the wings on. So they're just sort of, this one's a little bit looser than the other, but the reason I did not glue them on was because when I jammed them on, I found them to be tight enough that it can fly like this. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could make this a dismantleable one that I could put in a backpack and take somewhere on the bicycle with me, maybe go up there and do some flying over there sometime. So that's why I didn't do it, and I've just put a bit of tape over the last part of the servo cable to stop it from flapping around, and I glued this section in with CA, so that part's going to be permanent. And I think in a crash it might start to slip out, but I think for flight it's nice and tight. And the reason that it ended up being so tight was because contrary to the instructions, I glued in these foam inserts which hold the spars down without the spars in there. So that meant that I think a little bit of the glue seeped out and got into the cylindrical space where the spar is going to go, and that meant that when I put the spars in, it was really quite tight to get them in, especially this side. And that means that the spars hold it in quite well on each side. The central section is very slippery still on the spar, you can slide it in and out, but these bits are quite tight. Oh yeah, and another thing I realized while I was playing around with it yesterday, just looking at how the flight controller thing behaves, I don't think it actually has an auto level at all. All it has is attitude hold mode, so if you're like that and you let the sticks go, it's going to try and hold the plane there in both of the modes. The only difference is that in one of the modes it's going to use the accelerometer, so that if the wind pushes you off like that, it will know to come back to the last position that you wanted it at. So that's the hold mode. And the one that they call the rate mode, if the wind pushes you off, well, it will try and resist the wind from pushing you off target, but if you do get pushed off target, it's not going to bring you back like that. So I think that's how those two modes work. We'll see in a minute. It's a little bit windier than I was expecting, but let's do it. Whoa, jeez, it's touchy. Not sure why that was so touchy there. This is into the wind, of course. I'm going to have to dial down my throws, I think. This is a glide. Oh, it doesn't need to go that fast. Oh, it's waggling though, eh? Yeah, it needs to go faster than what I'm doing here. Yeah, it's quite wobbly. See if I can land it. Well, that's not a bad glide. Whoa. I just realised that I had the gyro on then when I didn't want it to be on, so I'm just going to turn the gyro off so there's no gyro stabilisation. See if that makes any difference. And I've turned the rates down to 70%. That's better. Okay, that's much better. Ooh, it's quite stable. This is no gyro stabilization. There's about half throttle there. Now it's wobbling a bit. Full throttle. And I want to look at the throttle here, see, it's just over half throttle. But it needs more than that. Glide. Downwind. Should try a glide heading upwind, shouldn't I, really? Okay, gliding. Not bad. Why is the prop spinning? I saw the prop spinning just then, but it's not supposed to be. Could have sworn I set it to brake. Let's do that again. Yeah, the prop is spinning. Why is that? I wonder if the airspeed is enough to overcome the braking power of the motor. I wouldn't have thought so, but maybe it does. Alright, now let's turn the gyro stabilization on. Seems a bit wobblier. Oh no, it's about the same. Yep, oh, that was a full stall. It stopped completely, but it looks like it can do vertical without too much trouble. Full throttle, of course, but it could do it. So this gyro stabilizer doesn't seem to be doing a very good job. It's actually slightly wobblier than it was before, so I'm just going to turn it off. Okay, it's off now. Gliding, a little bit of motor here. Yeah, it seems more comfortable to fly without the gyro stabilization on. So let's try the third mode of the gyro stabilizer, which was the one that seems to be using the accelerometer. Let me just turn it this way. Okay, there we go. Well, that's not bad. So this is using the hold mode. Still looks a bit jittery though, doesn't it? Yeah, to be honest, I don't think either of these gyro stabilization modes are really doing much for me. And it makes, that's interesting, seems to make the roll rate slower too. See, that's a roll with the stabilization on. And now turn it off and do another roll. See, that was quicker? Yeah. It's fairly fast though, isn't it? Let's try a landing again. Huh, not bad. Okay, I have the 6-inch prop on here now, so let's give this a try. By the way, it definitely was braking, see? It's just that when it's in forward flight, it seems to be able to overcome that and keep the prop spinning. Okay. Whoa. Need more speed than that to launch. Okay, that is half throttle there. Whoa. Seems to get a little case of the wobbles every now and then. Not really sure why, just the wind I suppose. Oh, that's a bit more punchy feeling. About 60% throttle. What the hell? Is that my fault? Not sure what happened there. Well, everything looks okay. I think maybe I just lost orientation for a moment. These are the times when you wonder about whether there's any point in having a gyro stabilizer that you're not using getting in between your inputs and the actual controls that get sent to the servos and the motor. Because if that gyro stabilizer starts doing funny things, you'd be much better off without having that link in the chain, wouldn't you? Glide. Prop is still spinning, I can hear it from here. Do I dare try flying inverted? Let's try a little bit of it inverted. I'm not very good at this yet, but Seems to be doing it okay. But handles the wind a lot better than the Bonsai, and I think probably better than the Texuma as well. Except for that wobble every now and then. Low pass. Vertical. Yep. Oh, I've just remembered that I have not set the battery alarm voltage in my transmitter to beep when the battery gets low, so I should probably do that. Let's bring it in for a landing. Might be too far away. Oh no, that's cool. Oh, I thought I was going to clear it. Oh well, here we go. This answers the question of somebody who commented on the last video I made. They were saying, wouldn't it be better to pull this off and sandpaper it, now that I realise how non-stick this surface is before you sandpaper it. So there we go. That's the answer to that question. I saw what happened there. It was so close to clearing. Maybe we hit that and it just caught the prop and pulled that right off. So that epoxy on this surface is useless. Well, it's a few hours later now. I've glued that back on. I tried ADOS glue, which I think is kind of like Yoo-hoo, maybe same kind of stuff, I think, and it dries fairly quickly, so that should be fine now. Of course I sandpapered it to get the surface off, and I thought what I'd do now is try fiddling with these gain dials in here just to see if it improves the behaviour of the flight stabilizer any. In this next part of the video I made a mistake. I thought I was increasing the gains when I was actually decreasing them, and the reason for that was because I saw this little triangle mark, or at least I thought I saw a triangle mark on the little potentiometers on the flight controller thingy, but I was kind of looking in the wrong place. So it says that when you have the screw pointing towards the triangle, that's going to be zero gain, and one way or the other will increase the gain in opposite directions. And now that I'm looking at it here, I can clearly see 1, 2, 3, 4 little triangles around here. I only saw this one for some reason. Maybe it was just the way the light was shining on it when I was outside. But I think this one here is the triangle that they are referring to in the instructions, because when you turn this little screw so that it's like this, that gives you zero gain, and then either side of that will increase the gain. So what I was actually doing in this next part was decreasing the gain until I got to a point where when I shook the plane I noticed that the elevons were not moving anymore, and then I realized what was going on. So I'll just put a little reminder text on the screen to remind you that I'm actually decreasing the gains at this point, and it makes things slightly better. So anyway, what I've ended up with is around about a 45-degree angle for both of the well, this is roll and pitch, I suppose. So 45 degrees in this position for each of those seems to be a pretty good position, and that's actually decreasing the gains a little bit from what it was out of the box, which was this position. Oh, sorry, am I increasing it? I don't know. But anyway, this is the position I've ended up with, and this is what it was out of the box. So this is a rudder, and I haven't touched that because there's no point on a flying wing. So I think we need a lot of throttle to launch. Well, that was an improvement. So let's try a little bit more gain. Right, let's kick up the gains one step more. Oh, it does help a little bit. See, that landing was a lot easier than before. Oh yeah, it does help. Beautiful. Yeah, so that actually made it worse. Oh well. So I was going to try a 4S battery in here. I took this out because it was taking up a little bit too much space vertically, and I found that I still had to use a little bit of tape to hold the back on, otherwise it would pop up a little bit. So a 4S battery is generally going to be a little bit too fat, I think. But more of a problem is that when I try twiddling the servos here, I'm moving this fairly smoothly, but you can see they're all jittery, and that's not good. And it wasn't doing that with the 3S battery. I don't really know why, because the servos and the flight controller should all be running off that voltage regulator, and I'm pretty sure that can handle 4S as an input voltage. So I don't really know why that is, but I'm going to cancel my 4S flight, unfortunately. Well, that's how the first day of flying went. It's a fairly sprightly flyer, considering it has the 2200 milliamp hour battery in there. So all the flights I did were with the 3S 2200. It does sort of feel a bit heavy, but I think that helps it to push through the air, and it feels a little bit more stable. This day there was a fairly constant light breeze blowing, and I'm pretty sure that the Texumo and definitely the Bonsai would have been wobbling around quite a bit more in this kind of wind. The 6-inch prop obviously gave a little bit more thrust than the 5-inch prop, but there's not really that much in it. I would just use either of them, really. The flight stabilizer thingy was, it kind of did what it was supposed to, but was really nothing amazing. So if you're looking at getting the other kit, which is not the plug-and-play one, it's just like the main airframe, I think, and you have to supply your own electronics, and you're worrying about whether you're missing out on the flight stabilizer thing, you're not really missing much. And as you could see right at the end there, I tried to fly it with a 4S battery, but there was some sort of a issue with twitching of the servos, so don't know what that was. Maybe if somebody has any suggestions, I'll see if I can figure it out, because it would be pretty cool to try flying it on 4S. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is in this onboard video at the bottom left and the bottom right, you can see a little bit of the fuselage coming into the view, and I left that there on purpose because I wanted to show what it was like rather than saying it was there, but I cut those pieces away so that you wouldn't have an idea of what I was talking about. So it's not terrible, but obviously you'll want to cut a little bit of the foam away in those places. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. I'm definitely going to put some FPV gear on this and fly it around a bit this summer. So thanks for watching, and tune in next time for some FPV stuff.